Okay, ready for part two. So in part one, we programmed it so the sprite would move when the arrow keys are pressed, and the sprite changed in the direction as well. So our sprite changed when we pressed the keys. Also, when we took our finger off the key, the sprite stayed still. Right. So the hero must start the game with 5 lives, and your level must contain enemies that you will design and create. When the hero collides with the enemies, you must lose a life and jump back to the start position. Also, your levels must contain things to collect. And when all of the items are collected, move to the next level. A suitable message will be displayed when all 5 lives are lost, asking the player if he wants to play again or quit. Okay, so let's start the game with 5 lives for our hero. So we double click on our hero or object. We click on Add Event, Create, and the tab that we're going to choose is the 5th one down, and it's got lives, and we set the game lives to 5. I'll explain what relative is later on. Okay, so we now need to add the enemy. So sprite, resources, create sprite, and we're going to be, I think my first one's Willy the Worm. So I'm just going to put Willy the Worm, and then load Willy the Worm. Enemy level number 1. Now that's going to be far too big for the game, so I'm going to edit sprite, transform, stretch, and drop that down to 10%. Okay, that would be big enough for our game. I'm going to click OK. Now once you've created the sprite, you have to create the object. Resources, create object, and it's going to be Willy the Worm. I'm trying to stay to the same convention. In the drop down box, select Willy the Worm, and he is solid. We can add event for him to moving around later on, but first of all I want to program my hero so when he collides with the worm and he hits him 4 times, then 5 times, sorry, he's going to lose a life. So I'm going to click Add Event, Collision with Will the Worm. Okay, I can change it to Willy the Worm later on. So what I need to do is drag the lives across. So set lives -1, and this time relative. So it's relative to the previous score. So because the first score was 5, as soon as it hits it, it looks at the previous score, and then it's going to -1 life off. So it's then going to be 4 lives. Then when it hits it again, it's going to be -1 relative to the previous score, which was 4, until it goes down to 0. Now currently we haven't told the computer to do anything when it gets down to 0. So we're going to do that now. We're going to add event, other, and then no more lives. Click no more lives, and we need to do one of 2 things. First one, we need to display a suitable message. So my message: you have lost all of your lives. Please try again. Okay, spell again, right, Will? Again, and click OK. So if I just leave it like that, it's just going to keep popping up that message. So I have to tell it to do something else. I can tell it to 1, end the game, or restart the game. So I'm in this particular one, I'm going to tell it to restart the game. The next thing that it asks us to do, well, I'm going to test that first. So I'm going to click OK. I'm going to click on my level 1 form. I have my hero there. We'll just, for instance, we'll say that's a start position, and you can see now I can select between 2 objects. So I'm going to put Willy the Worm, and I'll put Willy the Worm there. So if I hit him 5 times, my life should drop down to 0, and then I should end the game. So I'm going to quickly save it and then click play to test to see if our game works. Now every time we test it, we should be filling in our testing log, because we've tested the direction keys up, down, left, right, and now we're testing the sprite collision with the enemy level 1. So there's 1, you've lost all your lives. So the thing that's happened there is we haven't told our hero to jump straight back to the start. Okay, so inside of your testing log, It didn't jump back to the start position because we forgot to add it. So you go back on the collision with the worm. We're going to click on here, which is jump to start. Drag that to there, and I'm going to make sure that that's above the set to lives first. Click OK, click save, and then click play. This time, each time I collide with a worm, I should jump back to my original start position. Okay. Yes. 2, 3, 4, 5. Perfect. So now that we know that our live system works. So if I close that, and then how must start with 5 lives? Yes, so we've done that part. Your levels must contain enemies that we designed to create. When the hero collides with the enemy, you must lose a life and jump back to the start position. Yes. Also, your levels must contain things to collect. And when the items are collected, it passes to the next level. A suitable message will be displayed when all 5 lives are lost. Ask if we want to play again or quit. Well, we can change that later on. But first of all, in our game, let's have a look. So we need to have things to collect with these moving around. Now, I'm going to start the enemy moving around the screen. And I'm going to do it like so. So I'm going to add event, create, and I'm going to drag the start moving. And I'm going to select each of the different directions around the outside of here, and because we want to move slightly quicker, I'm going to put the speed of 6. Now if our enemy goes outside of the room, it's just going to keep continuing on and continuing on unless we click this one, which is to wrap the screen. So we can click add event, other, outside of room, and then we click that, wrap the screen. And this one is in both directions. So if it goes out of the top, it'll come into the bottom. If it goes out the right, it'll come into the left, etc. Okay, so we've sorted that out. And that's all the worm actually does. Also, we need some things to collect. Well, we can quickly create a coin. So I'm going to resources, create sprite, and I'm going to call this coin. I'm going to edit the sprite. We double click on image 1. And I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to use this tool. Now we have 3 options underneath there. The first one, that's the foreground color and the background color. If I just use the first one, it will just do the outline of the foreground color. If I use the second one, it'll do the outline of the foreground color and the inside, the fill of the background color. If I use the bottom one, it will do the outline of the foreground color and the fill of the foreground color. So I'm going to select a coin color, and I'm going to make sure the coin looks as if it's slightly on its side, and I'm going to select a slightly darker one and try to draw around the outside like, oh, I need to select that one first and try to draw that slightly round the outside like that. If you want, you can try to draw something on there, the picture of or some money or a number or whatever you want to put on, so it looks a little bit more realistic. So I'm going to click on the check button and check the button again and click OK. So now we've got the coin, we need to create an object. Resources, create object. We're going to call this coin, and I'm going to call it, we're going to select the sprite, the coin, and make it solid. Now I'm going to give the coin a number of health. We've already used lives. You can only use lives for one object throughout the whole game. So I'm going to add an event, create, and I'm going to set the health. I'm going to set the health to say 10. So set the health to 10 and click OK. Click OK again, and now I'm going to put our coin around the room. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Now I need to go back to our hero, and I'm going to add event, collision with the coin. Now the first thing I wanted to do is I wanted to to set the health to -1 and make it relative. So when it hits the first one, it should go down to 9, etc. Then we're going to add event, other, no more health. And the no more health, we click on the first one, I'm going to tell it to move to the next room, which is the second one down, second tab down, and it's the middle one underneath the rooms. Move to next room. In this one, if you want to give it a transition effect, you can give it a transition effect. And click OK. The thing that I haven't put with this is, each time it hits that, I want it to destroy the instance of that coin. So on this one, an object, the second tab down again, drag that, just applies to self. No, it applies to other, which is the object coin. So click OK. Now we're going to test it. Click OK again, and then click save, and then click run. Okay, so if I move it, okay, so you can see what's happened. When we touch one coin, all of the coins disappear. Okay, so how do we remedy that? With coin destroy instance, I'm going to delete that. I'm going to click on the coin, and then I'm going to add event collision with the hero. And then I'm going to destroy the instance. So it's destroying the instance of itself, not the object altogether. Because when we chose that one before, it deleted all of the object coins, not the instance of itself, which is this one coin. So I'm going to click OK, and then click OK again. Click OK, and then we'll test it again. Save, and then test. So again, in your testing log, each time you come across something like this, you need to make sure that it's mentioned in your testing log. And in your evaluation, you mention what went wrong and what went right. So if I hit the coin once, there's 1, 2, 3, I knew he was coming, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and this one, 10. Okay, this is perfect. This error message actually tells us that in the other event, because we selected other, and then we selected no more lives, we told it to go to the next room. Now we can't go to the next room because there isn't one. So that error message is a good message for us because it tells us that it's working. Put more worms in to make it a little bit more difficult. And then save it and then play it again. Okay, that's part 2 complete.